You've probably heard the following terms many times. I cannot wait to retire. In 20, 30, 40 more years only, I can finally enjoy my life. Well, this is traditional retirement talk at its finest. And whenever I hear any talk like this, it makes my insides do funny things. Because nowadays there are much more non-conventional ways of doing retirement, and thank God. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Michael J. I build 6 and 7 figure businesses, and it is my passion and calling in life to teach as many people how to do the same thing. And in this video, I'm going to show you some options on how you can retire early. So traditional retirement looks something like this. You work for someone else 9 to 5. You do that for 30, 40, 50 years until your retirement when you're around 70 years old, pretty much at the end of your life. And leading up to that, you have to save a lot or put a big chunk of your wage into a pension fund, and then you can enjoy that at the end of your life when basically you're nearing death. So there are many negatives in doing things in that way. Firstly, you're working for someone else in the 9 to 5 rat race for the majority of your life, which you don't get any kind of work-life balance at all. You're working from Monday to Friday and just looking forward to the weekends and maybe the 1 or 2 holidays per year. It's also more stressful working for someone else because when you've got a boss, you have to do what he says, you might not agree with it, and it's just much more stressful existence. Life is basically 70% working until you're old enough to basically die. You can only enjoy your freedom right at the end of your life. And what if, say for instance, something really bad happens and you die at 65 years old, 3 to 5 years before your retirement? You've put all that money in to a pension pot that you're supposed to enjoy, and you've slaved all them years to get that, and you've passed away and you're getting no benefit from it whatsoever. Well, luckily now we have much more contemporary and non-conventional ways of doing things when it comes to pensions and retirement, and we can structure our lives in much more creative ways so we don't have to wait until the end of the rainbow to enjoy our freedom. Okay, so let's jump into the options that we all have available to us, and you can pick one of these that suits you, or you can do a mix of a few of these options. But here's the first one. So the first is the most obvious one and most simplest to kind of get going, but it can take a while to get there and it might not be suitable for everyone. But this option basically means that you are upskilling your current role, your job, your profession as much as possible, going for as many rises as possible, maybe going for new jobs to get better wages as quickly as possible, and then you are just going to save until you have a decent 6-figure income in the bank. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put that into a really safe stock account so you can earn a very nice and safe 4 to 6% return on your investment every single year. Now, the positives of this option are basically that it's super low risk. You are going to be spending a lot of time saving up, but once it's there, you're going to have a pot of money, you're going to put it in a really nice low risk account in the stocks and shares, the S&P 500 for example, and it is going to give you a very nice solid consistent 4 to 6% every single year on your return. The negative of this option, as I mentioned at the beginning, this might not be right for everyone. And what I mean by that is if you are in a profession that doesn't offer much progression and it doesn't really pay very much, then this is obviously an option that's going to be more difficult for you. However, you can change professions and it is going to take you a little bit longer than everyone else because you're essentially going to be starting from scratch again, but this is still an option for you. But if you are in a profession that allows for a lot of progression in terms of, career and money, then this option can be really good for you. And another negative is that obviously it's going to take a long time. This is not going to be overnight. It's going to take you at least 10, maybe 15 years. So you're essentially retiring early much earlier than you would be if you were working till you're 70, but it's still going to take the longest out of all these options that I'm going to talk about, and this is my least favorite option. So the next option is all about your life and structuring it around living cheaply. So a lot of people live in this world where they have big fancy houses, they have nice cars, they go on holiday 2 or 3 times a year, and they like buying nice things. Well, in this option, it would be to do the exact opposite of that and to live a really minimalist lifestyle. And the purpose of that is so you can cover your costs extremely cheaply. And some ways that you can do that is, for example, getting a boat instead of having a house. I know this is really wacky and out there, but I know people who have bought a boat and they are mortgage free, they don't pay any council tax, and it's a very cheap way of living. So once you've got it, there's essentially no monthly living cost there. And another option you can take is by moving countries to a really cheap country that will allow you to live very, very cheap. Some examples are South America, Thailand, the Philippines, and there are many more countries out there where you can live really cheap. And I really love this option. It's definitely something that I've been thinking about for a while, and I might be doing it in the next few years. But it's a really, really cool option because you can live super cheap and you might be able to live in better climates than the UK, if you're in the UK, of course. And it's just a really awesome option to make a big change in your life. And what you're gonna have to do with this option is work still. That's the only negative for me about this whole thing. You are still gonna have to work, even though you can live very, very cheaply. Where you're gonna get the money from to live cheaply, right? But a positive of this option is that you can work in something that you love more because you don't need to get paid loads of money to be able to live. Or you can work very little hours, so you might be able to get a part-time job in a bar, for example. If you like bartending, I know a lot of people see that as a very fun social job. You might only have to work 2 to 3 days a week, and then your work-life balance is absolutely amazing, and you flipped it on its head compared to working in a 9-to-5 job. And with this option, you can basically just live cheap and free for the rest of your days. So you don't even need to retire. So this whole thing about retirement, people having the minds that it's an absolute must and it's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. You don't even need to have that. You can just live happily until you die with this option. There's no retirement involved in it. And just to finish this one off, you could even pair this with the first option. So you might be able to save a little bit of money up. You might not need to save, 6 figures like in the first option. You might want to save 10, 20 grand. And if you can live on like 2, 3, 400 a month, that can last you a very long time. Okay, so the next option is to make the work you do something that you would be doing for free anyway. So it's basically to set your life up where you're doing what you love and you're getting paid whatever it is for it. And this option will be perfect to mix with the last option where you make your living expenses so cheap. And if you're doing what you love, you don't need to get paid a lot for it anyway. So really cool mix up there. And the benefits of doing this is that you're doing something you love, so you don't really, again, need to retire like the last option. There's no retirement in there, because if you're a painter, for example, you could do that until you die, and it could be something that you love and you could do physically and mentally until you are very old. So retirement's just out of the window again. And this is an option which is really interesting, because you'll find when you talk to people about this, they will almost not believe it's possible, because they've just been blinded by this 9-to-5 mindset all their life, and they generally don't believe that it would be possible to live that happy doing something that you love and getting paid to, and you can live so cheaply. They don't believe it. So it does take some working around and some big mindset shifts for you to be able to even believe that this is possible, but it is. I know people that are doing this. Tattoo artists, for example, they've been doing it for a long time. I know guys at mid to late 60s that love it and do not see themselves stopping. And the only negative thing for me for this would be if you can't find that one thing that you love to do, because not everyone has that one thing. I personally do. I know friends that do, but I have friends that don't have a clue what brings them happiness and enjoyment. So that's literally the only negative. But if you've got that, then this is one for you. And if you don't have that, this is also one for you, but it's just going to take you a little bit of digging and maybe working with a coach to be able to find that one thing that you can see yourself doing. And it can come from any hobby, passion, or interest that you've already got right now. Okay, so this next option is a bit of a different one, and although it's not going to be for everyone, it's very creative and I like it. And obviously it's got positives and negatives just like any of the others, but if this is for you, then it could really, really work. And there's still an element of retirement in this particular option, but it's not right at the end of your life. So this option will basically mean that you're going to be taking mini retirements all throughout your life. So you might be working for 1, 2, 3 years, and then you might want to take 6 to 12 months off, or even a few years off. It depends. You can work this however you want. But by doing this, you are essentially working a little bit of time, knowing that you've got a very long mini retirement coming up. So your work is, and your time on this earth leading up to that is more enjoyable, even though your work-life balance in that time might not be as good as you like it to be. You've got 6, 12, or even 18 months where you're going to be taking this mini retirement that you can look forward to. And the major positives of this is that you can enjoy these mini retirements all throughout your life and while you're young and healthy especially. So obviously when most people retire at the end of their life, they're old, they don't move as quickly, the mind's not working as good, and they're just not as healthy, right? But if you're doing those mini retirements all the way to the end of your life, let's say you're doing a mini retirement by that time you're 25, and then by the time you're 30 and then 35, you are super young, you can go out there, you can travel the world, and you can enjoy it while you're healthy. And on top of that, you're just not going to get burnout when it comes to work, right? Because when we work for 10, 15, 20 years, and obviously 40, 50 years to retirement, you're going to get a lot of periods of burnout. But with this, it totally gets rid of any potential burnout. Because like I said before, you've got 1, 2, 3 years of working, and you know that this big mini retirement is coming, so you don't get that burnout there because you've got that excitement for that coming up. But at the same time, the negative of this, the main negative of this, is that you are going to have to work until the end of your years. So if you do have to work when you're 70, 80, it might be very difficult. Unless you're in a virtual world where you can do online coaching, for example, then that's a little bit different. But here's where you could mix it with one of the first options. You might want to save up as much money as you can, so at least you've got a more of a full-on retirement at the end of your life, as well as all of these mini retirements. But all in all, I think this is a really cool option. And my dad passed away 15 years ago now, and he basically did this option. He worked really hard for 2 to 3 years, then he had a year or two off. Sometimes he worked for 1 to 2 years and had 3 to 4 years off, and it was a good thing for him that he didn't save loads and loads of money up till when he was supposedly retiring at the age 70, because he would have lost all of it, right? He died way younger than that, and so he would have been slaving until he basically died, and all that pot of money would have been for nothing. And now the final option, which is basically you building up passive income streams and investments that bring you back a consistent monthly passive income over 5 to 10 years, and by the time you've got 5-10 investments, you've got enough to quit your job, and those investments and those businesses will pay you a monthly sum that you can live off for the rest of your life, which again means you don't need to retire. And what I would recommend here is just taking it one investment, business and project at a time, and aim to earn around £500 to £1,000 per month. I think 500 is a really nice sweet spot. Obviously 1,000 is better, but obviously 500 is easier to achieve. And if you say it's going to take you 2 years to build one thing up that's going to earn you 500 quid a month consistently, then in 10 years you've got 5 nice passive incomes and investments that are bringing you in 2.5 to 5k per month, which anyone can live off, right? And this is where you can mix up with another option. So option 2 was obviously living really simplistic lifestyle, so you're not spending a lot of money. And if you can do that, as well as this option, you can have, like I said before, 5 investments within 10 years that are bringing you in between 2.5 to 5k per month, which, as I said before, anyone can live on. But if you're living cheaply anyway, then you can live very, very comfortably. And the huge positives of this particular one is that you're your own boss, right? Which means that you're living a very stress-free life eventually when you get to the point where you can finally quit your job. And obviously the negative of this is that it can take 5 to 10 years to build this up. But with a few of these options, it is going to take you a few years anyway. But that's definitely one of the negatives of this one. It can just take you a bit longer. But as I said before, once you've got these set up and they're safe-ish, you can have some safe ones, some kind of medium risk ones, and maybe some high risk ones. But these can pay you for the rest of your life. So again, with this option, there is no retirement there. So that's all the options, guys. Take your pick. My thesis on all this is that retirement is a very outdated term, and I think more people just need to know and realize that there are other options out there these days, and we can really shape our lives creatively so we can enjoy our time on this earth, and we don't have to wait for the end of our lives to enjoy our freedom. We can be free now until the day we die. So I really hope you took a lot from this. I really hope it sparked something inside of you just to start looking into some options. And who knows, within the next 5-10 years, you might have set your life up where you don't even need to retire. So that is it from me today. Until next time,